Hi guys, today I want to talk about all of the series that I started, finished and DNF'd in 2016. At the end of 2015, kind of going into the beginning of 2016, I did a kind of video series where I talked about all of my finished and unfinished series, and I thought that it would be best to kind of make it a yearly thing so I can from now on include all of these series into one video. So I'm gonna start talking about these series that I started in 2016, then the ones that I finished, and there were also two series that I decided to not continue reading, which I'm gonna talk about at the end of this video. So let's get into everything that I started in 2016. These are in no particular order, by the way, I just kind of write them down throughout the year. So first we have the Illuminae Files trilogy by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. I read both Illuminae and Gemina this year, so I am currently caught up on the series and I do plan to finish it this year when the final book comes out. Then we have the Monsters of Verity duology by Victoria Schwab. This is the first book, The Savage Song. The second book, Our Dark Duet, comes out this year, which means I will also finish this series this year because I ain't gonna wait. Then we have the Dark Artifices trilogy by Cassandra Clare. This is the first book, Lady Midnight, which came out last year. I didn't really enjoy Lady Midnight. I do want to read Lot of Shadows, the second book, which comes out this year, just because I've had problems with Cassandra Clare's first book in the past. I think all of the first books in her series and even kind of the start of the second part of the Mortal Instruments were all of Cassandra Clare's weakest books, so I still have hope in this series, in this trilogy, in Cassandra Clare. But definitely, if I don't end up enjoying Lot of Shadows a lot, I will not be continuing this series. Then we have the Timekeeper trilogy by Tara Sim. This is actually one of my favorite books that I've read this year and I cannot wait to read more in this world. I do hope that the second book is coming out this year so I can dive right into that. But yeah, this is definitely one of the very promising series that I started reading this year. And finally, we have the Clash of Kingdoms duology by Erin Somerville. I read Ever the Hunter this year, and while it wasn't one of my favorite books, I still feel like there's a lot of potential. The book ended on quite the cliffhanger, and so I am actually really excited for the sequel. These were all of the books that I started in 2016. I do want to say that I'm not including graphic novels in this one. Graphic novels are kind of random for me. I don't really keep track of them. For most of the series that I have started, you don't have to read them back to back to remember things. It's just kind of random volumes, so it's not important for me to keep track of these in any way, so I'm not really mentioning them. Now let's get onto the series that I finished in 2016, and I am super happy because I actually finished 11 series this year, and it's kind of a wide variety of different series. Ones that I both started and then completed this year, others I just kind of waited for the final book to be released. I'm excited to talk about these. First we have the Starbound trilogy by Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner, and I actually think that I read the final book, Their Fractured Light, at the end of 2015. But I do have to say Their Fractured Light was probably my favorite out of the three. Next we have the Ivy duology by Amy Engel. I remember reading this pretty much back to back and being really impressed by how much I liked them. They were very basic dystopian kind of romancy type of books, but I definitely really enjoyed them, especially the first one, and so I kind of had to finish them back to back. Next we have the Grisha trilogy by Leigh Bardugo. I read all three of these books in 2016. That's Shadow and Bone, Siege and Storm, and Rune and Rising. I have to say I am not the biggest fan of this trilogy. I definitely enjoyed the last book quite a lot. It's definitely overall an enjoyable series and I don't regret reading them or feel like I've wasted my time. I'm just not loving these books as much as many other people on BookTube do. I'm still glad I read it and I'm definitely interested in reading more by Leigh Bardugo. Next we have the Miss Peregrine's trilogy by Ransom Briggs. I finally read the final book, Library of Souls, in 2016. This is probably one of my least favorite series of any series I have ever read. I was kind of okay about the first book, still felt like I kind of just wanted to continue because while I didn't enjoy it as much, I still found it intriguing. And then I really enjoyed Hollow City and gave it 4 stars. But Library of Souls, this final book, was just so disappointing, boring. I just really didn't like it. And to be honest, overall, I felt like I've kind of wasted my time with reading this trilogy. Next, I finished the kind of sequel, companion, spin-off series to The Selection by Kiera Cass, and The Crown, the final book in that duology, came out in 2016. I read that and I definitely enjoyed it more than The Heir, and I'm happy that I decided to read it. But overall, I feel like this addition to the original trilogy is super unnecessary. I also finished the Numbers trilogy by Rachel Ward, and I'm honestly not sure if I started this series in 2016 as well. I think so. So I think I read Numbers, Numbers the Chaos, and Numbers Infinity, all by Rachel Ward this year. In 2016, it's not this year anymore. It's annoying. How many times have I already corrected myself while filming this, but how many times have I also said it and not noticed it? Anyway, this was definitely an enjoyable trilogy for me overall, but definitely like nothing special. Then we have the Neil trilogy by Lynn Metzen. I read the final book, Neil on Fire, in 2016. This was a 2016 release, and I've kind of been following this series basically since the first book, Neil, was released, so I definitely was anticipating this quite a lot. I do have to say this might have been one of the most disappointing endings to a series for me of all time. I really wasn't a fan of this final one. Then we have the Witch Hunter duology by Virginia Baker. I read The Kingslayer in 2016. This is another 2016 release with which I finished this series. This is definitely one of my favorite duologies of all time. I didn't enjoy the second book as much as I enjoyed the first book, The Witch Hunter, but still this is such an enjoyable duology for me. I just definitely looking forward to rereading these. Then we have the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy by Laini Taylor. I read this whole trilogy in 2016. The first book being Daughter of Smoke and Bone, the second book Days of Blood and Starlight, and the final book Dreams of Gods and Monsters. This was such an enjoyable reading experience for me. Really, I think this might be my favorite series that I read this year, tied with one more series that I'm gonna mention soon. Really loved the world, really loved Laini Taylor's writing style. It isn't a 5-star series for me, but definitely solid 4 stars. I think all of these got at least 4 stars, the third one being very close to 5 stars. Then we have the Fifth Wave trilogy by Rick Yancey. I read the first book, The Fifth Wave, so long ago and really wasn't sure if I wanted to continue with it for a super long time. I didn't enjoy the first book as much as many other people did, and then all of the other people who enjoyed the first book so much didn't enjoy the second one. So I was like, this is not a good sign. But then I got my hands on a used copy for the second book, and it was shortly before the final book in the series came out, and so I was like, I'm gonna give it one more try, because as you can also see, the second and third book in this trilogy are not super long. So I read both The Infinite Sea and The Last Star in 2016, and I think you can already tell by me having read both of these that I ended up really enjoying these final books in this trilogy. I really wasn't a fan of the first one, and these ended up being really great books for me. I really loved all of the different characters. I loved the ending of the final book. I'm so happy that I decided to just kind of try and continue. And finally, the actual also chronological final series that I finished in 2016 was the Six of Crows duology by Lee Bardugo. This is another one that I started and finished in 2016. I read both Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom this year, last year. This is my favorite, Daughter of Smoke and Bone being a very close second. But this was so amazing, and I'm so happy that after being like a little bit underwhelmed by the Grisha trilogy, that I was able to fall in love with these books, these characters, the kind of world and storyline and plot as much as basically every other person did. As I said, I can't wait to read more by Lee Bardugo, and this definitely settled that. I think she's an author-by author for me. And finally, since I now talked about all of the series that I started and finished, there's 2 more series that I decided to DNF this year. One of these is the An Ember in the Ashes series by Saba Tahir. I read An Ember in the Ashes in 2015. Yeah, I think so. When A Torch Against the Night finally came out, I just felt like I don't care about what actually happens. I don't remember the characters, I don't care about the characters, I don't care about the world. And so I was like, this would be a waste of time. Also, I think this is now gonna be a 4-book series. I'm just not here for that. And the other series that I won't be finishing is the Escaped series by Kristen Cass. I read the sequel Scarlet Rain last year and I just was not happy with that one. It wasn't a good book. I already didn't enjoy the first one all too much, but I saw a lot of potential, but just oh boy, I'm done, I'm not interested anymore. And these were all of these series that I started, finished and DNF'd in 2016. Let me know some of your favorite series that you started and finished in 2016. I found that so exciting. And thank you so much for watching. I guess I'll see you soon. Bye! I read the final book, Kneel on Fire, this... I definitely... I'm sorry, I just noticed that the Witch Hunter has deckled edges and the Kingslayer doesn't. This is upsetting.